Welcome to Demasked. My name is Fresman, and today I'm joined by Deqster. How are you today?
Doing pretty well, thank you. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I was worried there for a second because I've heard multiple pronunciations of your screen name, like Deqster, Deqster.
Dequester.
Yeah,
Um,
Dequester.
yeah, no, it's just a play on a crappy spelling of a hybrid between um, Dexter's Lab Dexter and Dexter the serial killer Dexter,
Mm.
and it kind of ties into my old email address too. My email address is like, I don't know, 15 plus years old, so yeah, just a that used to be my YouTube account name, and then I thought, well, people are always confused by it, so I changed it over to this, and people are still confused by it, so
Well, how long have you been doing YouTube for?
well, my YouTube account's probably a good, oh man, 13 years old plus, but I've only really grown recently um, as a narrator, and I started back in about June, I want to say, uh, with
Nice.
with Creepypasta Adam. He had a collab he was looking for a voice for, and I was looking to do voices, and he and I got to talking, so I helped him with a video. I think it was called Headlights On, Headlights Off,
Mm.
and that was my kind of first real narration voice work.
Yeah.
A couple of years prior, I'd done an SCP kind of rough draft thing and threw it on my channel just to see if anybody would watch it.
Mm.
Um, so that one's about 2 years old. But as far as actually giving this a try, I would say it started last June.
Nice. Say from what I've seen, like personally, I'm not. How do I word it? I'm not a narrator, but I've seen that the community is pretty willing to help each other out.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, there's a lot of friendly names. I could fire them off and not stop for a couple minutes. There's a lot of nice people in the community.
Now, do you have a favorite story or a favorite type of story that you've either already read or have yet to read on this
Um,
platform?
that's a good question. I've only got like 5 stories up, so I'm still kind of exploring. Um, I want to say I like something if it's got a style of writing that's creative or something that I can connect with.
Hmm.
The first one I ever read was Jordan Group's. Foraging for mushrooms is fun, but I really screwed up this time.
Oh,
Uh,
you can cuss here, but I should
okay.
mention.
Foraging for mushrooms is fun, but I really fucked up this time. Is the name of the story. I was like, oh, I got to read that, and so I hang out on the Dark Gathering a lot, which is the Dark Somnium's Discord server, and
Mm.
back then I had given it a. We were doing live reads, just pick a story off No Sleep and just read it to people in the voice chat. And so I
Mm.
read that one, and as I got through it, I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool story. I'll remember this one. And I ended up several months later putting it on the channel, like narrating it and doing some sound effects and putting it on the channel.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of where I got really started. If I had to pick a point,
So what pushed you towards horror narrations?
well, I've watched a lot of YouTube for a long time. I would say, um, as I remember it, I got into a channel called Dark Five.
Mm.
It was at the time it was a channel kind of based around showing provocative conspiracy images, like UFOs or government craft or things like that, and then telling a short, factual story about 5 things, 5 creepy things. These days, he actually uses his voice and talks about the things, and shows pictures and video footage. So he's developed a little bit along the way. But that's kind of where I kind of got my hook into the community as a whole. That led me to SCP, SCP universe. And then that kind of, I bumped into Nature's Temper, reading a couple SCPs, and so that got me hooked on him. And then that got me, eventually I ran into Ronnie's channel, that is the Dark Somnium. And that, like, his style of, you know, writing his own music and doing his own sound design and combining it all into this just finished and polished product of, you know, like an old radio show where they used to do the sound effects and tell stories. That really got me hooked. And so I've been listening to Ronnie since like early 2019, if not before that. And
well, like with was it the SCP Foundation that you mentioned? I wish I had like a TV show about it. I really want to see like full filmed adaptations of those.
Yeah. There's there are a couple out there already. Let's see. I want to say that SCP Illustrated just did a kind of a video preview of a Kickstarter project for a third movie, short film. So they've done a few. One of them was about SCP-096, which is the Shy Guy. I don't know how familiar you are with SCP and the SCP Foundation's numbers, but that's the one that if you look at its face, it will basically chase you down no matter where you are on the planet and kill you. So if you look at a picture of its face, or if you look at video footage of its face, or that sort of thing, it just innately knows that you've seen it. It freaks out and then like will run through walls and dive down the Marianas Trench to chase your ass down and end you. So they did a video about that, or they did a short film about that, and it came out pretty good, I thought.
If I remember, a couple of years ago, there was a solid I hesitate to call it an audio drama, but it was like a almost like an audio orientation for like the D class personnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was talking about like reality altering attacks and like how, you know, your perception can be completely ruined.
Yeah, I think that was I'm familiar with it, but I can't remember I think it was what's his name? Dr. Sumerian, I think, may have been involved in that one.
Possibly.
He has a channel and does readings and he's one of the most prolific writers on the SCP Wiki and has his own YouTube channel. So I watch him from time to time too.
What was that one? Oh, there it is. I found it. The channel's called The Vulgan.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like the Vulgan's channel. He's got his own. He's got a pretty unique style too, where he actually does all the graphics and stuff in his videos. He does those himself, so he's a designer, and I followed him a little bit closer a while back, and he was he had done a live stream and was talking about his process. I was like, oh cool, you do your own stuff, or you do your own 3D design.
There was one that like, you know how it is in like certain SCP stories. They can go from like a world-ending item to something almost like non-anomalous.
Yeah.
Like the one that sticks with me is a story called was it the Procrastination Stone?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like it's not even.
That one.
Yeah,
Briefly.
It's not even in its own containment unit. It's in a box in somebody's office.
Yeah. Yeah, they range from the silly and mundane to the, like, you know, a reality bender so powerful it actually is able to ascend out of the story and into the author's universe, author of the article, and then on up, you know, through on up through the levels of existence.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting concepts, though. I mean, it's everything from an unkillable lizard to, like,
To a toaster
the
that makes you
sun.
talk in the first person.
Yes, the toaster that makes you try to like cram bread down your throat and get yourself killed. Yeah,
I am a toaster.
I am a toaster. Yeah, it's a really interesting collection of fiction, and yeah, that hooked my attention right away.
Oh man, there was one that seemed just kind of unfair, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like a door with 12 keys, but it only has one correct key. So if you pick the wrong one, you just explode.
Well, that's a bummer. I'm not super
Yeah,
familiar with that one, but yeah.
that's a dick
If
move.
so, if I would say if I had to, do you have a favorite in the SCP?
Oh geez, probably either the classic or the one photo that everybody associates with the SCP Foundation, which is 173, the
Mm-hmm.
statue.
The peanut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the
Colloquially.
or what was the name of the other one? It was the Everything Coffee Machine.
Oh yeah, the like all liquid dispenser or something. You can get anything from liquid gold out of it to they
Like
yeah
uranium.
yeah they can it dispenses literally any liquid.
Well, like the I think the thing that propelled that into being one of my favorites is when they're talking about somebody accidentally using like the wrong term when ordering because you're supposed to like hit a button and say what you want,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Yeah, I want a cup of Joe," and then it's like immediately followed, Sergeant Joseph, a couple rooms away, began to scream. It's
Yep.
like a cup of blood and viscera poured into the cup.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh
It
god.
it opens up a portal and sucks the liquid from somewhere.
Yeah.
He just happened to be the nearest Joe. Poor bastard.
Oh. Ugh. What
Yeah,
do
the
you have a favorite?
I do have a couple favorites. I would say my actual favorite is the Harbinger. Um,
Mm.
let's see, the Vulgan did a video on it. I may need to look for a second. It's SCP-1281,
Okay.
and it's the premise of it is it's a um, biomechanical spaceship that has a message aboard that it's supposed to deliver to other civilizations, and they find it in the Kuiper Belt, which is all
Mm.
the junk from the solar system's formation out past Pluto,
Hmm.
and the thing wakes up and figures out how to speak English and like decodes the SCP Foundation's transmissions and starts talking to them, but eventually it's damaged, so it like overheats as it tries to talk and communicate, but it eventually
Mm.
delivers its message. And yeah, I won't spoil it for everybody, but it's a nice little article, just kind of cool, optimistic against how vast and how vast the universe is and how insignificant we all are
Yeah.
in comparison. Just a kind of a cool
Or,
commentary on it.
or there's a line from I don't know if you've seen it, Gurren Lagann.
Grim Login. I haven't seen that anime.
Well, there's a line in that show that gives me a weird sense of comfort, which is every light in the sky is an enemy, but they're like staring up at just the stars.
Yeah, yeah. So I did that rough draft SCP I talked about from 2 years ago. That's the one I read,
Mm.
and then on a live stream, the Vulgan was taking super chats and stuff, and so I sent one over. It said, "How about SCP-1281?" And eventually he did um, do that article and do a whole 3D model of it, and did an awesome job.
Nice.
So I was like, yes. But there's
Oh man.
6,000 of the damn thing, so it's kind of hard to pick
What was that one that it had a really good presentation on the website? It was that coffin that makes you hallucinate.
Oh man, I don't know that one off the top of my head.
Well, so you know how on the website, most entries just have like a photo of the offender.
Mm-hmm.
It on that specific entry, it's a quote unquote live video feed
Mm-hmm.
of the item, and it's sitting at the end of this long like circular hallway, and every once in a while there will be a flash of like a dead body laying there, and it like goes away after a second.
Hmm.
So
That
like
sounds
even
creepy.
observing it, like even observing it, you're susceptible to hallucinations.
Whoa, that's creepy. Yeah, there's a lot of
God,
people
it.
that get like really creative with it. Sumerian actually wrote um, a video game. Like there's a whole SCP video
Mm,
game, and your job to contain the thing as you play the game. And I don't know if you beat it or I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's like this old RPG style, like kind of like Zelda,
mm.
like the original Zelda game.
Oh, okay.
And you go around this little village, and it talks about you have these little quests, and it's kind of a single line, kind of a single storyline deal, but just
Oh,
that
sure.
they managed to put together a whole video game for an SCP file. I was just kind of like, holy
Hmm.
crap. Uh,
Well, was I have I have that one game. It's the multiplayer one, SCP Laboratory,
mm-hmm.
and that game. Like, if you know what certain SCPs do, then you know to like run.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll see like what's it called, like the old man that teleports you to a pocket dimension.
Yeah.
So you just see it going through the floor. I'm like, I gotta get the hell out of here. Like hitting the button on the elevator. Just please come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember if I've played it ever, but I've at least watched gameplay of the SCP 3008. Is it the IKEA? The
Oh,
Infinite
Infinite
IKEA.
IKEA.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. I like that one. It's like
Oh man.
IKEA seems infinite already, and then you
Uh huh.
talk about a trans-dimensional IKEA with
Have
freaky faceless. Yeah.
do you ever play perchance? Do you ever play Gary's Mod?
Oh yeah, that's like I'm not a big gamer, but that's like one of the games I was hooked on for a while
Well,
because of
somebody made the Infinite IKEA,
they in Gary's mod. Oh man.
but to the point where it actually like seamlessly stitches together. Like it's essentially one big warehouse area, but when
Mm-hmm.
you go to leave a certain area, it'll teleport you to the beginning of the level, but it does it seamlessly.
Oh well. So it
Yeah,
manages
you're
to
like,
do the infinite IKEA without without actually being
yeah.
infinite. That's
Well,
cool.
how do I word it? Whenever I get like a new map, I'll like explore just by walking around. Like I won't like no clip through the wall or anything. And
Right.
so like I'm at the help desk, and I like pushed one of the computer monitors off the desk.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wander around a little bit more, and I round a corner, and I'm right back at the help desk. I'm like, wait, hold on. Like I've been going forward this entire time. How did I get back here?
Yeah. Yeah. You're hosed.
Oh yeah.
Space time curves, you know. Uh, yeah. Um, yeah, it's just a neat universe. Like, and that there's no canon is cool too, because if you find an SCP file that sucks or you don't, like, that never happened. It's not like the Star
You can
Wars.
just ignore it.
It's not like the Star Wars franchise where, well, yeah, it did happen. You're just ignoring it. It's
Oh,
you can actually say that didn't
yeah.
happen and that this is your, you know, observed canon. Or however you want to slice it.
Well, it's
Mm.
it's weird because like I used to way back in the day I tried to read all of the SCP articles in a row,
Oh man.
Well,
That's an endeavor.
well because they have that numbered list that you can just go down.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, a lot of times it would start as an article on containment procedures, and then immediately jumped into like fan fiction. It's like they escaped along with, you know, 173, and they're hanging out and having conversations. I'm like, what? How
Yeah.
does anybody in the facility know this?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're doing the stories alongside the files, you're gonna be there a while.
Yeah.
They're on
Although I do like.
their sixth run, I think.
Oh,
So they opened up the 5,000 to 6,000 numbers here. Or no, I think they just had the contest for the 6,000 series. Dang.
well, 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 like it. I also like how sort of nebulous the actual foundation is. Not the people who run it, but like what the building looks like essentially.
Mm.
Because they're like some of the games, like Containment Breach or SCP Laboratory, they sort of portray it as like, oh, it's kind of like a building that's slightly underground, and then some instances it's like, oh no, the containment cells are like miles beneath the earth.
Mm-hmm.
In either way, it's not going to help anybody inside that building.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. I've seen the what is it called? The SCP Escape, I think. Whatever one that Sumerian plays on his channel every once in a great while. And they did a good job with the peanut. And that thing flies. You turn around, that thing flies right at you.
Oh, yeah. Or was it with Containment Breach you had to blink every couple seconds?
Yeah. Oh, that was Containment Breach. Yep. I'm sorry. Escape. That was Breach. So I've seen some gameplay footage of that one. That's an interesting little piece.
I don't like the sound it makes either. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Freaky. But yeah. Yeah, Dark Somnium was. I think I had ended up running across a couple of his SCP reads. He did some early ones, and that's kind of how I got hooked on his channel too. I think I was looking for SCP content and found those too, and
Nice.
And of course, I found stuff like Dr. Bright isn't allowed to do at the Foundation.
Yeah.
And SCP-420J. Oh man, the Vulcan's version of that. If you haven't heard that, it's hilarious.
Especially the Dr. Bright one. I do like how that's slowly becoming more of an inclusion in those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because it'll be something normal. It'll be, like the procrastination stones. Like last scene in Dr. Bright's office. Then at the very end, it's like, too bored to finish this article. We'll return later.
Yep. There's a rock on my desk. I'll finish this later.
Well, what was... there was one SCP that I thought was horrifying, where a guy, it's like his perception is completely erased. So, like normal people can see him, but he can't see anybody.
Wow. That's
like
freaky.
he can see the world around him, like the building he's standing inside of, but he can't see the people standing around him.
Right.
And it's oh god.
Yeah, that's horrifying. I like the perception ones too. There's the I don't remember the number, but it's the 3D movie glasses, and you put them on and you can perceive beings in another dimension. They're like these monsters that walk around and stuff and watch people. Like you can see them watching other people. But if the person wearing the glasses reaches out to greet them at all, they'll get eviscerated right on the spot. Like,
oh god.
Yeah, it's like they get torn. It's like these insectoid type creatures and reptilian, like of various kinds. And if you happen to look at one and wave at it or try to talk to it, it'll eviscerate you, and you done. And they tried the same thing with like a camera. Like they put a camera and pointed it through the glasses, and I think the camera ended up getting ripped to shreds or something too.
So you can observe them. You're forbidden to interact.
Yeah, it like ends up being a death sentence if you try to connect or communicate with them.
Oh God.
Yeah, I think that's another Vulcan one.
Oh, well, it's like you ever see They Live with Roddy Piper?
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever actually watched the movie.
It's
the
pretty
chewing
alright.
bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
Yep.
Here to
The
kick ass
origin
and
of
chew
that
bubble
line.
gum. I'm all out of gum.
Yep.
Yeah, I've
Well,
heard of it, but I've never seen it.
it operates nearly on the same idea, but not minus the evisceration part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got a
It's more
special
like
pair of sunglasses, and he can see the aliens.
yeah, and then like there's like signage from the aliens all over the place that you just can't see.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then
the idea
if I'm
that your perception isn't what, you can only see a tiny slice of the spectrum of light that exists. It's like, when you realize how much you can't see in the universe, it's like, holy crap.
oh man, there was a version of that was it's interesting, but it also seems like it would be very infuriating to try to work around. And have you ever seen the movie John Dies at the End?
Oh, no. I haven't even heard the title before.
Well, it's this weird, like, metaphysical fever dream that's like a comedy at the same time. It's incredibly hard to explain.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this type of creature that you can only perceive it out of, like, the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where one character's trying to show another character one that he caught and like put in a cage, and he like opens the back of his truck and he's like, yeah, take a look, and it's an empty cage. He's like, no, don't look directly at it. He goes, slowly turn towards me and pay attention to your peripheral, and then you just see it just like inside the cage.
Fun. That sounds like, yeah, I'd watch that.
It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like horror movies that are just there to be gory or jump scare oriented. It doesn't do anything for me. But a good like a psychological deal like Saw intrigued me. Like I wasn't, I've never been a big horror movie buff, but I've just in the last few years gotten into the short format horror fiction and. But back when Saw came out, my cousin and I did like an all-nighter of like the first 3 in a row. And I was like, God, this is messing with my head. Just that, like how monstrous humans can be. And, the real horror, like if it's a movie about real horror, I tend to enjoy it a little bit more than just like, oh, there's a ghost that jumps out of the TV and eats you or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, then there's like the Hostel movies, which sort of, it's mostly, gore and torture, but then there's like that moment of like, it's not, how do I word it? It's not like, oh, they're all crazy people. It's like a lot of them are like bored rich people.
Oh man. Yeah, I keep
like
I keep thinking like Squid Game is going to be a good match for me.
Squid Game's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear good things so far.
I can't, like, I'm baffled that like kids YouTube has picked it up as much as it has.
Ooh, that doesn't sound right.
They do that with like a ton of horror stuff, like Five Nights at Freddy's, or Siren Head, or I think Jeff the Killer for a while.
Yeah, even Slenderman had a whole thing where people actually died from people being obsessed with it. I think there was or an attempted murder or something. I don't remember the whole story, but
yeah. Stabbing. Yep.
Bummer that.
Well, like the Squid Game thing, like a friend of mine has 2 kids and they watch, YouTube once in a while, but it'll be like the toy channels, like, look, I'm playing with Hot Wheels or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then once in a while, I see one of the people from like Squid Game on there. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll watch other media that has horror elements in it, like The Witcher. I kind of enjoy. I mean, the first season was, it just depends on how what you're expecting to get from the show, I think.
Yeah.
Like if you're expecting a show that's about a video game to be super amazing and walk into it, you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed. But, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was like decent concept, and I'd never played the Witcher series games, so it was kind of like an introduction for me.
Well, did you hear about the mistake that the author made years ago?
No, I hadn't.
Oh god. So the original books almost exclusively came out in Poland and were written in Polish. There was really no English translation of it. So when CD Projekt Red, the company behind the games, approached the author and went, "Hey, we want to make a game series out of your books." And he goes, "Fine, but video games aren't going to make any money. Don't pay me in royalties. Pay me the lump sum."
Oh, no.
And then the Witcher game series goes on to become way more popular than the books, to the point where the video game version of Geralt is on the cover of the English translation of his books.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like that. There's so many stories like that. It's like the guy that invented the railcar coupler. The thing the knuckle that puts 2 rail cars together, They can bump into each other and then hook, or you can flip a switch and they'll release. Well, they used to do pin and ring type deal.
Yeah.
People would lose arms, or they would get injured trying to knock them apart when they were changing disconnecting and connecting rail cars. Well, I guess a rail worker or a steel worker or something drew the idea on a napkin at a restaurant with some of the rich buffs or whatever, and they took that and went on to make billions,
Oh.
Just one of those things that if somebody had been given the credit due, they would have been multi-billionaire by this point, or, later on in their life. Back in the 1800s, I think.
I say them, their family, and their family's family would have been set for life.
Pretty much.
Oh.
But there's the upper echelons have a way of walking away with stuff like that and using it.
I just specifically for the Witcher author, I just love that video games aren't going to make any money. Just give me the one check.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he got his paycheck, and you make the deal you make, and man.
and then he got to be super salty about it for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I could see how somebody would easily be a little bit upset by that.
Well, thankfully, I heard that somewhat recently that they actually kind of reapproached him. They're like, "Hey, do you want royalty checks now? Now that it's done super well and you're getting like a TV show out of it?" He's like, "Yeah, I guess so."
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure, okay.
I wouldn't want to impose.
Yeah, no, I'd grab that too. I don't like to look like a shameless sellout, but hell yeah, give me the check. That's my work you're using.
Well, there's a phrase that I heard back when like the Emoji movie was coming out,
Mm-hmm.
because people were griping like I can't believe they got Sir Patrick Stewart to be in this movie, and somebody went, hey man, sometimes you just want $1 million.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and sometimes you just it's like with Nick Cage, he'll do any movie just about, it's he just likes sometimes they just like the process.
I
And
will
sometimes
say,
it's a profession, like it's
yeah, I will say Nick Cage of all people, even if that role is dumb, he seems to put his all into it.
yeah, that's the one thing I love about Nick Cage more than anything is like it just even if it's overacting, he'll put his all into it. Yeah, like I think one of my favorites with him in it is The Rock, where he is opposite Sean Connery, and he just some of the stuff he comes up with is like, how in the name of Zeus's butthole did you get out of your cell? Just isms like that are just, yeah, Cage-isms.
Or was it when you watch Ghost Rider and he's drinking jelly beans out of a Chardonnay glass, and like watching a chimp do karate, and it's like, how are you going to turn into a flaming skull later doing this?
Oh man, yeah, it's like it's a new cast of trashy classy trashy or something. I don't know. that's awesome.
If I remember correctly, I think doesn't Nick Cage have like a pyramid for when he passes?
A pyramid for when he? I don't know. That one's I'm not familiar
Like
with that.
Like he has a burial plot that's a pyramid.
Yeah, you got.
Oh yeah, he totally does. I just found.
Steal the the Declaration of Independence one more time and just kind of bury himself with it.
Wait, there's something about being so hilariously rich that you can have a pyramid built before you've even died.
Yeah, I want my casket to be a pyramid, thanks.
And what else?
The Pharaoh thing.
I want a 9-foot tall pyramid that somebody can put me in. With all my worldly possessions.
Yeah. Oh man.
Didn't the pharaohs do that back in the day? Like get buried with their servants?
Oh man, I know they buried him with a lot of stuff. I'm not super well versed in Egyptology, but I do recall that when they found the Tutankhamun, King Tut, burial plot, like it hadn't been touched by grave robbers yet, which was a big problem, and why a lot of the history is missing. And why King Tut's tomb was such a good find was because he wasn't even a famous king. He was only reigned for like, I forget how long, under a decade or something. He was like a footnote in Egyptian history, but the reason he's so famous is because of just how well preserved his tomb was. It hadn't been grave robbed in the last 1,000 years or whatever. And I remember that they buried him with a lot of ceremonial pieces and like a lot of I want to say the ashes of like relatives, and like there was a lot of like urns in there too, I think, like where they bury the heart or whatever. I don't know about like whole servants though, like the servants have to bury themselves with them or not. I'm not super familiar with that part, but like this whole recreation of the Tutankhamun exhibit came through Portland, which is near where I live, and we went and saw that, and it was just kind of neat to see all the Egypt had kind of a unique way of doing things.
Now what about the recreation of the mummy's voice box?
Recreation of the Mummy's voice box?
Have you heard about that one?
Uh-uh.
They found a mummy, and then they decided that they wanted to like 3D print a reconstruction of his voice, like his vocal cords.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of making him say anything, like no word, no nothing, it was just this like, huh. Just kind of a grunt.
Sounds like they made a meme out of it too.
I think they did.
That's funny.
And then somebody put like the death grips, like screaming, just like, oh.
Oh no. That's funny.
Man. Like the process for mummification is so. Not a fan.
Yeah, it's somewhat gruesome from what I understand, but hopefully you did when you go through it, so you don't have to go through
it. I say nope, alive the entire time.
Yeah. Yikes. But yeah, in Egypt and the whole the whole mystery around that, man. There's so much like, oh, they used aliens to build them, or they used some people think they built like tunnels of water up to the top of the pyramids and floated the bricks up, and it just it's like, well, no, they took 20 years to build it, or Giza, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and they used a spiral ramp. Like they figured it out. People still think it's this huge mystery.
I say, look, man, if you, subjugate enough people, you can get anything done, apparently.
Yeah, and it was a lot of labor and a lot of years, but at the same time, like, they weren't really sure how they got the big pieces moved up, and like, there's a whole internal structure of like granite and stuff. They couldn't figure out how they'd move those stones up into place because of how heavy they were, and they came from miles away.
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of time. And then there's just this French architect kind of went through the whole thing and came up with theories about how it could have been built, and then went and chased down evidence for those theories. Like, he didn't just go, oh yeah, they could have done it this way, and then write a book about it. He actually went like to Egypt and tried to find evidence of what they called like corner cranes, where like so the theory was that they built a spiral ramp as the pyramid was being built, and they just pushed the blocks up each side in a spiral kind of. And it was really difficult to find evidence for it because, the pyramid's complete. You can't exactly tear it apart to see how it was built. And so he was looking for this evidence of cranes on the corners where the blocks were near the top, and that they'd have to pick up a block and turn it in order for it to fit on the ramp and still get up to the top, And they sort of found, he like was able to climb up and check it out, and was sort of found a spot where that might have been the case, where there was like a little tunnel. They would have had this spiral ramp, and then they would have walled the spiral ramp off when they finished the thing out. But then later on, he hooked up with this team of scientists that had done some gravimetry, measuring specific gravity around the pyramid structure, and he had created a 3D model of what he thought the built construction looked like, and they took the measurements from the gravimetry that they did and made a picture out of it, and lo and behold, the measurements of the gravitometer or whatever the hell it's called that measures how strong gravity is in a specific spot, lined up almost perfectly with this computer model. Like, and he hadn't seen the pictures beforehand. He had just made this based on the size of the blocks and based on how big the pyramid was, and this is how wide the ramp would need to be, etc., etc.
See, this is where you have to pull like the ancient aliens type conspiracy theories. Like, what if they had like an anti-gravitational device?
What if it made a spiral, man? The loobity boobity.
Dude, I tried to watch an episode of Ancient Aliens, and like every episode has like the hard left turn where like
Yeah.
where like for a second it starts to sound plausible, but then they like screw it all up.
Yeah.
It's like
take a
the
left.
well, it's like the Large Hadron Collider is the same shape of the sun god and the circular motion of the destruction of Earth and all this. I'm like, sure, I guess. And then it's like, this must be connected to the star people. I'm like,
Yikes. Yeah,
what
dude,
was the one where
I get so many like I've had this Bigfoot video out was the biggest one that's like just taken off.
Yeah.
So I've got 5 videos. I started off with the mushroom foraging one is a 5-minute story, where I was kind of feeling out my style and figuring out how to read and do sound effects, kind of stretching my legs from sound engineering way back when.
Yeah.
A little bit. And then I did one called We Discovered the Amhaluk, which got around 7,000 views. And a lot of that was because the Dark Somnium had promoted on his channel without me asking. It just kind of randomly said, "Oh yeah, hey, my friend's premiering a video here. Go check it out."
By the way,
yeah, and he's he was sitting at about 450,000 subs at the time, I think. And so a bunch of them came over and made a lot of really positive comments and checked it out. A lot of them subbed. So I jumped from like 60 up to like 450 overnight. And and then I did an inner rim piece, and then I did this Bigfoot one, and the algorithm picked it up. So I wound up getting in a month over 50,000 views versus the previous video getting like 500 and some over several months, and the one before that only getting like 7,000 total with a bump from a very popular channel. And so that blew me away. But some of the comments that came through are just amazing. Like, I mean, you can't make this shit up, except that you can because they are making it up.
Yeah.
And I can give you a small sampling if you'd like to hear kind of some of the crazy that comes through.
Go for it.
The Ancient Aliens Bigfoot chaser crowd. So somebody goes, fiction or not, that was some fine storytelling. Reminds me of days gone by when we used to tell stories around the campfire. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Oh, by the way, the Sasquatches are real and have been here on Earth longer than we have. They just want to be left alone. And that's light. That's crazy light.
Like diet crazy.
Like vitamin water crazy. Yeah, let's see here. I'm trying to find one of the short nutty ones. This is and my favorites are the really long ones with like 0 punctuation. One dude wrote me a 642 word essay on all the conspiracies. Like basically he took ancient aliens and vomited onto my channel comment section. It was amazing. I was like, dude, it's respect for the the effort here.
it's the star people.
It's the star people, bro. Nibiru. He tied like he did. He tied like Egyptian ancient Egyptian gods to Nibiru, to the sonic murder of whales, and mermaids too, by the way. To like shooting buffalo from trains in the 1800s, to Sasquatch, to religious figures, and it was just this like constant stream of conspiracy vomit. It was amazing.
Like it reminds me of that there was oh god, I can't remember what channel it was, but they were discussing the Mandela effect.
Mm-hmm.
Not with any belief in it, but they were just like, you can't be wrong. You're the special one. It's the universe around you that changed. Not that your memory is faulty
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you can't recall things clearly. It's that the entire universe changed and only you noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's some interesting creepypasta stories about that too. One of them, the Dark Somnium did was the girl the universe forgot, which was just a good piece. Like, it's not like a creepy story. I mean, it's sort of creepy, but it's kind of more of like a feel pasta and the feelings around having someone who you knew in your childhood just disappear from the universe completely, almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just it's a neat piece. Okay, here's another good one. Short but crazy. I believe the majority are not bad, but hundreds of people go missing every year. Triple exclamation mark. Missing 411. So I'm sure they're not cutely creators. I just yeah. Missing 411. Sure. So I'm sure they're not cutely creators.
I'm not sure what the point that they're trying to make.
I have no idea what the message is. And then there's the people that are like, fake. Okay, so fake stories about Sasquatch like this is exactly why people don't believe they're real, and why there's such a mockery in the subject. Thumbs down from me.
Cool, thank you. Neat.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, well, I was upfront that this is a fictional piece, and it's not. I mean, yeah, okay, you could call fiction fake stories, but you know, are you mad at Harry Potter for making people believe that wizards aren't real? That's the same basic argument that this dude's making.
I'm just mad at Harry Potter altogether, man.
Oh, damn. What's funny is the guy's username is James the Grower.
Dude, I used to... Me and my friend used to have a mutual buddy that consistently would be like, you know, what if the universe doesn't really exist, man? And I just told him, like, dude, I'm pretty sure I exist because I have to stand here and listen to you talk about it. Like, wouldn't I just be able to fade away into nothingness?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Could I stop existing now, please?
Yeah. If I could just fade away like the end of Infinity War, that'd be great.
Yeah. But anyway, I pulled some of the whole point of that was I pulled some of the Ancient Aliens crowd into the comment section on that video. Yeah. And that one pushed me from right around 450 subs, 500, somewhere in there, on up to where I'm at now, which is about 1,300 almost. So
what you're saying is you need to make more Bigfoot content.
Yes, everyone needs to make Bigfoot videos.
Yep.
You'll invite...
All right, stay tuned. Yes, I was going to say, stay tuned for the next episode of Demasked where I interview Sasquatch.
I know one. He'll come on your channel and talk about drugs. His name's Sassy the Sasquatch. He's a cool dude.
I just have this image of like, so it says here you spend most of your time in the Pacific Northwest and you hear...
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just a grunt every now and then.
Yeah. Or was it Sasquatch from Dexter's Laboratory? Whoa!
There you go. Shoot.
I love you, Sasquatch. Whoa!
Yeah, somebody had fun with the comment too. It was like, my Aunt Bunny was a Bigfoot. My uncle shaved her down and taught her to speak English and then married her. Or something. It was hilarious.
Oh, God.
I'm paraphrasing there, but yeah. Some people have fun with it, and I'm like, oh, I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by and making me laugh.
Well, like, so you know how with the Mandela effect, there's that whole shtick of like, well, it's Berenstein or Berenstain
Oh yeah,
bears.
yeah. That's featured in that story I mentioned prominently.
Well, the kicker is somebody found like they had a collection of those books, and it's both.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
because the people who ran the company didn't know how to market their own IP.
Right, and didn't know how to spell consistently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's both,
So obviously
dude.
the universe is splitting or running into another universe or whatever.
You're standing in a nexus or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
to
if you
the
want to learn all
gateway to.
about nonsense, I highly recommend you watch the channel Spirit Science. That dude can fire off nonsense.
Why do I
Like,
know that name?
oh, it's yeah. He's got about 1 million subs plus, which is
Spirit.
saddens me. But at the same time, his ability to fabricate nonsense and spew it in, and just the most breathless line possible is just remarkable. Like and his animation is actually pretty decent, and but he tells these fanciful stories and then says, I might be wrong, or this is just an opinion, blah blah blah, take it for what you will, but at the same time will claim that crystals heal you and sells them. So you gotta take that with a grain of salt.
Well, so okay, the last time I was in a store that sold crystals and whatnot,
Mm.
like I was standing there, and for some reason my thought was like, do I eat these or like how do you heal from them? Do you just kind of crunch them and
Do
hope
you
for
guys
the
have like a
best, or
pepper shaker that these go in, or what?
do I drink this?
Yeah, yeah. Make a smoothie. Yeah. But
I
yeah, like things like that are just, and I not only like, I don't really like watching the channel directly because then I just feel brain dead after a while. But I do like watching the people that like argue with him and make fun of him. Like they're the debunkers, the ones that come in and kind of just
Yeah.
take one of his videos and go, all right, get your oven mitts ready because this one's gonna hurt.
Yep.
You're gonna face palm so
Batten
hard you
down the
want some padding.
hatches. Hold on to something. It's gonna be a rough ride.
Yeah, yeah.
I just, like,
But
you ever like see, it's one of those things that like when I was younger, I had a moment of like, maybe it's a thing, and then immediately followed by like, oh, this is dumb.
mm-hmm.
It's,
Yeah, I may have to filter out some big rig exhaust noises later. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there.
oh, it's all right. Now, party people at home, if you can recommend some crystals for me, that would be amazing.
Yeah. I've got some laser pointers, and I want to just see what color they changed on the wall.
I've got some salt I'm gonna rub into every wound on my body.
Yeah. Amethyst stings just right.
You gotta consume your birthstone.
Yep. At least once a year.
Trying to like I know what my birthstone is, so like trying to eat aquamarine.
That's gonna be tough. Yeah, mine's pearls too, so I don't really want to try and chew on that.
I mean, you can just take yours like a pill.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, I could even recover it later if I was dedicated.
It'll be polished.
Squeaky clean. Damn it. Oh, but anyway.
Nothing like the intestinal shine.
Uh-huh. Jesus.
How
The
did we get here from ancient Egyptian?
I don't know. It's Probably because the material from places like Spirit Sites and the History Channel come from the same place, the colon. So
Yeah,
it's where the writing comes from. So there's a parallel there.
It's where all the cleansing comes from.
It's the washout. Oh damn.
Well,
but
there was an episode of Ancient Aliens I saw where they're like, well, isn't it interesting that the Mayans and the Aztecs had a similar way of counting days of the year? And I'm like, huh, that is pretty fascinating. It's like, it's because the aliens came down and taught them. Like, oh.
Yeah. Yep. Obviously.
And they had like the CGI like UFO coming
like,
down.
Why did all the cereal companies choose similar size and shaped boxes made of shredded paper, cardboard? Aliens.
How dare they? This must be the fifth dimensional star people.
Yeah. They're in a higher dimension. You can't see them. You can't know about them unless they come tell you.
You can't argue against it.
Mm-mm. No, it's like, it's the only way to handle is to out crazy the crazies. Somebody says they don't believe in the moon landing. You say something along the lines of, "Oh, so you believe in the moon?"
Well, I've got a buddy of mine that he'll do this thing where he'll think up insane conspiracy theories and then present them as fact.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't believe the word of them, but he'll like try to make a convincing argument for him. It's like, no, the moon doesn't exist. It's just a giant screen where they project the photo of the moon on it.
Yeah, because they had projectors back in the days of the Mayans and the Egyptians and any other ancient culture that has references to the moon and all of their,
Look at this stick figure drawing I have of the great astronomers of the past plugging in the Sony LCD screen.
Yeah, look, it even says NASA on his coat.
Oh my god.
Ancient NASA. Illumity boobity. Yeah. Sir Sick. Sir Sick is a good channel for that. You'll if you search Sir Sick, SIC, the social injustice crusader, he likes to take I don't want to offend anybody who's religious here, but he'll take creationists and like make fun of their arguments and be like, how do you realize how dumb you sound right now? Kind of a thing, and he'll do the same thing with like Spirit Science or other places like Mud University, where a dude basically just points at pictures on a screen and claims that they're like ancient dragons or dragon dung or something like that, and it's like 1,000-mile long dragon that got buried, and mesas are the ancient trunks of trees that got chopped down that were hundreds of miles high, and it just people that just know this stuff.
See, I found Sir Sick, and then the first thing I see is specifically the phrase, "Your ass is magic."
Yep, that's a Spirit Science video. Or maybe that's one of the Crystal Healer ones.
No, it's Spirit Science.
No, it is Spirit. Okay, yeah. Your ass is magic.
Yeah. It's just the first thing my eyes hit, or your ass is magic.
Yeah, he's got away with the thumbnail titles. Yeah, he's a funny dude. Highly recommend. He doesn't claim to be smart. He's just like, I'm kind of the character is I'm a dumbass, but I know that these people are way dumber than me.
Yeah.
Here are my counter arguments. But yeah.
Well, so we've just crest 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I could go a little while longer. If you have more questions for me, or if you want to just shoot the shit for a little while longer, I'm all for it.
keep keep crapping on the conspiracy theories.
Yeah, it's just a hobby, you know.
It's pastime.
Yeah. It's just amazing how
Well,
much steam they get, you know.
yeah.
How much unfiltered and I deal with this with some family members too. It's like they think they know stuff because they've listened to a bunch of different stuff and decided among those things that have been reported, you know, they've determined what the real truth is out of it, you know. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I listened to Lars Larson and NPR and George Norrie, therefore I know what the truth is. You know, it's like, well, these guys all three outlets could say things that are completely useless, but one of them is a public institution that's been around a long time and actually has reporting standards, and you know, I don't know, it's tough to, you can't, it's like you said, you can't argue with crazy.
That said, allow me to verbally look into the camera. Part of people at home, please don't take anything I ever say on this show as fact. Please, for the love of God.
Disclaimer, you will not heal yourself by swallowing shards of amethyst.
Yeah. Delicious, delicious amethyst.
Tasty purple. Oh, man.
The forbidden crunch.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be visiting the dentist a lot more. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Time to get my teeth replaced with amethysts.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like an SCP right there.
I will replace your teeth with amethysts.
An anomalous dentist that replaces your teeth with crystals of various types.
with your birthstones.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh no, I've got pearls for teeth. Ugh. Pearly whites. I can't bite food.
That's an image in my head I wasn't anticipating today. Because I'm imagining like this. I was like, for some reason my brain went to like the perfectly circular round pearl.
Mm. Yeah.
And so just having a mouthful of those. Oh.
Tiny spheres. Tiny white spheres. Oh, man. They get rotten, they turn to black pearls.
So I think I've brought this up before, but for some reason my physical cringe response is to rub my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. It's not like I'm trying to shield myself from whatever I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I think or see or hear something, my hands just get jammed into my eyes. Oh.
I didn't need to see that. Can I scrub this out, please?
Yeah.
Even if it's heard.
Can I reach back into the Rolodex and erase it off the note card?
Right.
Oh.
For you kids that don't know what a Rolodex is.
Yeah. And for the 5 of you that do.
Yeah.
Well, now, Dexter, have you seen any of the previous episodes of this show?
I have. Listened to a couple of your previous interviews.
Have you heard what the Rolodex is in terms of mine?
Oh, I don't think I have. If I did, I don't recall.
It's how my brain recalls information.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So instead of, like, most people, it's like, oh, that reminds me of something, and then they'll sit there and, like, kind of look back mentally and try to find it. For me, it's involuntary.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, Spider-Man, and then somewhere in the dark corner of my brain, there's a desk with, like, a lamp pointed at it, and then a whole Rolodex of information on that topic just slides onto the desk.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, like...
all the note cards have scribbles and whiteout and all kinds of stuff on them.
Yep, rubbing my eyes, desperately trying to smudge the pencil off of the the note card.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I think I listened to a little bit of... Let's see. remember if I watched the 242 one. I think I watched the one with who was it? Never Sleep, I think.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Oh, looks like I should go back and look at the one with Chronocosta too.
That said, I do not have a single episode of this show that I regret.
Yeah, wasn't Never Sleep. He does like animation and art at the same. Is that the one?
I believe he does. Daito Modachi does animations, and then oh my goodness, I forgot how many episodes I have. So I'm scrolling. Let's see. Dude, I'm still upset over that CS podcast episode.
CS podcast?
Yeah, because it took a week, like a literal week to export.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's a hell of a render time.
Yeah, it got to a point where I'd be sitting on my bed playing a game on my TV, get up, walk over to my computer, see the percentage, and then just walk back to my bed.
Oh no. Oh yeah, man, that's kind of why I'm a little bit not super jazzed about the idea of going over 30 minutes or so, because the 20-minute vids take, a good about an hour to render, I suppose, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But if I were to start adding, like 3D audio visualizations and the like,
yeah,
I just know that render time would go way up.
Well, I remember just like yelling to the fine fellas at the CS podcast, like, it's almost there. I promise, it's almost there.
Yeah. How long was the podcast episode?
Like, hold on, let me get the official number. 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh my.
But the problem was, it was the only video edition of Demasked.
Uh-huh. Yeah. If you've got a bunch of video footage, that's gonna bump up the render time quite a bit. Yikes. What do you use for your video production?
Hit film.
Hit film? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that an open source or is that one of the paid ones?
It's open source, but they also have options for cheap. If I remember, Hit Film Express is free.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes with an actual pretty good set of effects and stuff you can do. Like, you can do motion tracking in it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Which I used to do back then.
Gotcha.
Not as much now because it takes forever.
Yeah. When I was first getting into this, I thought about trying Blender, or I just heard that it didn't have a very good video editing. It has great capability, but it's not easy to use for what I was doing, which was just cutting a few clips of something to look at together and adding a audio an audio bar to visualize the story. But I ended up landing on Shotcut, so that's what I use to stitch my videos together for the time being. But it's only a half a step above Windows Movie Maker, which is what the first thing I used was.
I want to use, or I want to do a visualizer type thing, but the problem is, I don't know how.
Yeah, Shotcut has what's called a filter that will drop either bars or it'll drop a line graph type deal.
Mm.
on your video for you, and you can manipulate it to a certain degree. But it won't do like a circular one. I've seen a couple people that use circular visualizations around their logo. Like when they tell a story, they'll just have their logo in the center of the screen, and then a wavy line around a circle or something like that. And they have varying degrees of fanciness for that. But I haven't really dove into the video production side a whole lot yet. My focus is heavily on the audio production right now. Just making sure that that's as good as I can get it before I stay up all night and try to render it and get it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of times there where I went and pulled an all-nighter even for like a 5-minute video just because I was having so much trouble getting my workflow nailed down to the point where it was reasonable, you know. Just getting distracted by a bunch of different stuff and wasting time.
Yeah.
I think I spent 8 weeks on my second video trying to get the EQs all to match because I had recorded in several different sessions, and I was a bit rusty on the audio production side of things, and just because of I mic'd different and I did things different in each recording session, it just sounded off, you know, like you jump from one line to the next and it would just be a totally different sound. So I spent like 8 weeks trying to get that all to match on a 20-minute video.
So I ran into an audio issue with, I think it was quite literally my last interview. Oh, didn't add it to the playlist. Oh, but it was my chat with Time 6. And I like the file got messed up on like it getting sent over to me.
Right.
And by the time pardon me, oh my goodness. But by the time I got done, after everything was said and done, it sort of like he had already gotten rid of the file because it had been like weeks later. But for some reason on his side, like on his mic, it just cut off and went silent after a while.
Oh no.
And so instead of trying to re-record, I figured it would be the best way to end 2021. It's just like, hey, as if this year couldn't take any more from me. Here's this. Here's the cutoff.
Yeah.
Oh,
bummer. Well, I've been monitoring my end, and the Audacity's still running, so hopefully that means it'll render out just fine.
You know what? I'm gonna go check mine. Yep, it's still going cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Not a complete waste.
Please, God. Like, don't do this to me now.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Oh.
But
dude, back when this show first started, it was with the Pat Man, one of my first guests, and the first time we tried to record one of these, we went like 45 minutes without actually hitting record.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm like, man, this is a great conversation. This is going wonderful. And I look down and I haven't even hit record on Audacity. I'm like, oh.
Tough. That is tough. Yeah, I've almost been hosed by Audacity a couple of times, just from bugs, you know. Like I had some older versions of it when I first started. Like I'd used it for something and then left it on my computer for a year and then went back and used it, and it like, I don't know, I went to move a sound clip around, and I'm not just, you know, putting music on and reading a story. I read the story, I cut the audio, I cut in guest voices, and then I cut in a bunch of sound design and chop up the music and make it the right length for whatever scene I'm doing. And so I started moving sound clips around, and then the sound clip would shift. Like the sound within the clip would shift to another part of the audio clip that I had recorded. And I'm like going, what the, you know? So I had to
Oh,
deal with that a couple of times. I had to go and dive into the forums on Audacity and figure out how to rescue a couple of files, and it's just so I recently just sprung for an old piece of software I used to use a little over 10 years ago, and I still have a license sitting around for it. You just, you pay a little bit each year if you want to upgrade to the next version, and I had a version that
yeah.
would no longer run on Windows 10, so like it
Well,
was the last system that it was designed for was Windows XP, so it wasn't having a good time with like I still had the software and I could still download it and install it. It just wouldn't run very well. Like it'd go super slow. And so
yeah.
it took me hours and hours to try and just record the SCP video on it. And so I dumped that and went to Audacity, thinking, okay, this isn't really going to go anywhere. I'm just going to have a couple dozen views on each story. I just want to try it out and have fun, And so I ended up, when the channel crossed the monetization barrier here recently, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and invest a little bit and drop some money on updating my license for Ableton Live. And I may end up at some point doing a little bit of music production too along with it. So I thought it'd be worth it. And it's just faster in a lot of ways because Audacity has been around forever, but they have just very recently added a feature where you can grab the top of your clip and drag it around without switching tools. Like, for somebody who's doing a podcast and is just dumping music and audio and maybe throwing, audio effects on there, it's not as bad. But when you're moving dozens of clips around and trying to arrange things constantly and clipping out bad audio, like I'm not trying to sound like a egotistical dick here, but I kind of have to do audio surgery a lot and cut stuff together when I make a mistake if I don't want to go back and re-record. So for me, Audacity was like just hair tear out frustrating for a while.
Yeah.
Until I started getting used to it. But the latest version isn't too bad, actually. They've fixed that switching from tool to tool. You had the drag tool and you had the select tool, and you had to like switch between them constantly, which was a pain. But now they've made it so you can just reach down and grab the top of the audio bar that you're wanting to move and drag it over.
Nice.
So the workflow is not nearly as bad as it was. But yeah, from here on out, I anticipate my audio production quality will go up a little bit thanks to the better, I won't say the better effects in live, but the more well-rounded ones. Like there's a lot more factory options, and you don't have to like customize your reverb every time you're working on, doing an outdoor voice or an indoor voice or a voice in a car or something like that. But yeah. So I would, if anybody's listening to this and is like trying to do stories with older versions of Audacity, please upgrade to 3.1. It's a lot easier, just generally.
You heard it first. Use 1.0.
I guess the caveat was true, huh?
And then you got to use that like Windows 95 like desktop mic.
Yeah, there you go. Record with sound recorder from way back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I used to play with that so much as a kid. Because it had echo, it had reverse audio, and it had you could record. You couldn't edit anything, but if you played your cards right, and like I forget how exactly we went about it, but I was able to make some freaky stuff just by playing with the echo and the reverse audio things, and like playing it back and recording it over the computer mic again and things like that. Just I've been fascinated with audio production for a very long time.
Well, with that, I think we'll call this here interview to a close. Deqster, thank you so much for coming on. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Resma. It's been fun. totally.
Yeah.
I love talking conspiracy and ancient aliens and creepypasta stories, and I'm a pretty grounded individual, so I don't like believe in I don't believe in things without evidence. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, fair
And
enough.
so it's nice to come on and talk on a show where I'm not being asked to like, oh, what's your favorite type of alien, the Greys or the lizard people? Like
I,
conceptually.
hey man, hey man. At least in terms of design, I like the Greys because they're just big, bulbous-headed little things.
Mm-hmm. You think they'd fall over?
Yeah, but party people at home, thank you so much for sticking around. This has been wonderful. And Dexter, do you have a video that you're particularly fond of that you'd like featured in the description of this here video?
Yeah, actually, I did, like I said, I have 5 out. The first one has gotten a fair bit of, under 1,000 views, but still, like 800 or so and change, which is pretty good for an early release and a channel this young. And
Yeah.
the third video I did hasn't received a whole lot of attention. So if somebody wants to go over and check it out, it's called "The Death of the Cosmonauts," and that was my first attempt at like a Russian accent, and I was pretty proud of the music arrangement and sound design in that one. So if somebody wants to check that out, I'd recommend getting on and checking that one out. It's only 15 minutes long, and it's by I think it's what's the author's name? It was by somebody called the Crooked Boy on the No Sleep subreddit. So yeah, it's a good little story. It's about like a pair of somebody finds a recording of a pair of cosmonauts in the 80s that went up in a weaponized, like a shuttle that's weaponized with nuclear warheads. So just in case all the submarines and all the other nuclear bases go down, they have something they can launch at America from space. And so it's this cosmic horror journey of these 2 cosmonauts that like spin out of a silver portal, and yeah, they see monsters in the sky and stuff. It's pretty cool. Just nice. A neat story.
And there will be for the wonderful party people at home, there will be a link to that in the description and probably an end card as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But Dexter, thank you again for coming on. This has been a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been awesome. I hope your channel grows a ton, because I really like your style.
Thank you. And I hope so too.
Yeah. It's got a lot of potential. And, I've interviewed with, the only other place I've really interviewed with right now is I helped interview on A Grave Matters, and I was on the Traveler's Tavern with PA Nightmares and Philly Noctis and them. So that was fun. Yeah, and I should be on Grave Matters sometime in mid to late February, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll be chatting with them here, but I really hope that your channel grows, because this is a fun little interview format.
Thank you very much.
So,
well, but with that, this has been Demasked. My name is Fresman, and I will see all of you next time.